A lot of producers will overcomplicate their drums when it comes to house music, and I want to show you a few things that I like to do to take a simple drum loop and just elevate it ever so slightly, those extra few percentage points that you need to really sound like you have a professional idea of what you want to do with your drums. So getting right into it. So we'll see what it sounds like with the bass too. So if we just solo the main things here, we have our basic kick, clap, hat. So we'll turn that off and turn that off for this example's sake, because I'll show you what I'm doing with the second hat here. So I trust everyone's able to do this, and what I want to show extra here is within these 16th hi-hats, this is just something I would suggest you do because over time it'll keep things clean and allow for a better mix so you don't get random transients that you don't like, is omitting the spot where the main hi-hat's going to hit. So this is our 16th notes by itself. And if you were to just do that, like this is what you would probably program at the start of your track. But I would like to encourage you to just take those out, because now that hits when you don't have that. And it's a small thing, like you can probably barely tell or not even tell at all, but just mixing up those frequencies over time throughout the course of your production journey, I'd say keep it out of the way. With this second hat here, and what's happening is just the ever so slightly addition of differing velocities. So if we just loop this section here, I have one bar looped, and it's just half velocity, about 93, half 96. And if we were to do this, this is accentuate or making it more prominent, but the default status is about 35% dry wet. That's what this does within the sampler here. So if I brought this down to 0, nothing would change. So it gives it that little bounce that we might want. So pairing that with the hi-hat and the 16th hats, that's what that sounds like. So I was going to mention this at the end, but might as well do it now. A lot of producers will tell you to use return channels, and that's totally fine. I like to do essentially the same thing, but on the individual group track. And what this is a parallel processing chain of reverb, which is virtually erase this dry signal from your mind and just picture this reverb over here as a return channel. That's essentially what that is. So to do this, you just need to throw on a reverb at 100% wet, and I would suggest everyone do this and save it, is that you group this. So what I just did there was hit Control G, or you can just right click and hit group. It'll show up like this. It'll get wrapped up by this little box. You open this up, right click, create a new chain. Now this will be your dry signal. So now nothing's different. But this is at -infinity, so we turn this up. Now this is just the reverb signal. So this is what I'm saying. You load this in, and then you add reverb as much as you want. Very short decay. Then you just start to sound design your reverb. Once you have something you would like, this is one of those steps you can take into making your own sound. You save this rack as a drum reverb rack. You just hit the little floppy disk save button and do that. I spelled it right. And now it's saved. So whenever you're making drums, quickly Control F, drum reverb, and you throw that bad boy on wherever it may be. Boom. And what you can do with that, which is what I did over here, is you see the red dots. I have this automating on buildups, as well as the dry signal going down. So it's just another way you can do transitions, which is good. And one thing to note with the 16th hi-hats is that I have a swing involved here. So this one's at 100% timing versus something else, which is at 31%. I had this question asked to me in a one-on-one what timing does. This is essentially a dry wet knob for how much swing you're using. So if we just have this soloed, this is no groove at all. So just for example's sake. Now that's full groove. Put it to 50. It's half groove. With 0, you got no groove. So now just doing those few things with the drum reverb, it just sounds so much more full. And a lot of people will tell you to just throw in top loops till it sounds good, and I don't disagree with them for the most part. But there are some small things within that I think you should know about. Percussion loops have their own like type of timbre or rhythm a lot of the time. So if you find something that you just hear and it feels nice, like don't be afraid to use it, but just be aware that there are some things you can do to change things up. Like for this specific top loop, I like that perk you get on the hi-hat, like the little ring you get. One thing I could have done is put the warp on, set this transient to 1/16th, move this arrow over, and then it would have made things a little bit tighter versus that. So something to think about with that, to try that out with certain top loops. If you like certain grooves or rhythms, doing something like that where you bring these preserved transients down, and then what you could do is justify it by hitting Control J. And then now visually you see how everything's a little bit tighter. And now within here, if you were to hit Control U, or you right click and quantize, it'll take all the transients and move them a little bit closer to like the actual grid. And then from there you can throw on a swing and have that really in line with your track now. Along with that top loop, we'll add them one by one. We have the second one, which is this sound. And if you notice, there are some parts that are deactivated here. So if I were to extend this, this is the whole sample you would be getting. Just like one of those standard like drum grooves, like real drum kit grooves. So what I did, just take away where the snares play on the sample, because I have my regular claps going. So that with the hi-hats. Just add in the claps too. So if you listen to that just without the top loops, I guess this is fine, but adding that back just adds so much to it. So I think this is hard when you're going through packs, like within Ableton, for searching for perk loops. My suggestion would be to use Splice Bridge, or what I use is Loop Cloud. And what it does basically just syncs your track with all the samples so you can hear it all at the same time. So get yourself hooked up with those apps if you can. They're both the same thing, the monthly subscription nonsense where you have way too many credits. Call and response is a big thing throughout tracks and is very important when you're making your drums, just doing little call and responses here and there. So within the first 2 bars here, I added this clap reverse. And then this clap like left right accent here. And something subtle to do with these perks in the background is maybe throw a reverb on it. That's what I did here. It just pushes it back rather than being really dry. And this is something you'll see a lot in the new tech house sets out there, is throwing an accent hi-hat on either the 3rd or the 4th one of a bar. So that's what this guy is here. So that's what. So with the hi-hats. I just have it fading in so it's not as sharp. And something like that can carry, or can help carry a drum groove, as it's just like a slight little response and turnaround. A couple more things you might be hearing is just a standard like offbeat snare here within the MIDI. These are the essential notes. So if you right click and you go to 16th grid, you get all 4 of these squares, right? This is the standard like groovy response placement, and then I would say this is usually the standard response to that little groove knock. And something to do, or something to think about in terms of call and response, is to remove the second one from the second time you're doing it, or do this the opposite way, where you do it like this versus that. So this is something standard you'll hear in a lot of intros of songs. I have just this extra little perk added kind of as a response to that. Same kind of thing, more notes here, less notes here as a call and response. So if you've been able to pick up on some of the patterns that we're doing here, they're all kind of just things to accent those little kick notes, you know, like just the swing around, the jacking notes, like where the swing's gonna be. And one last little filler we have here, because we don't have anything in the first 2 bars that's like kind of large, but we do have this small snare, which kind of acts like as a call to this guy. But if we add everything back together, get this drum hit. This little, which I really like the real drum roll there. So I use that as like the turnaround for the first 4 bars of a phrase, as I have this clap filling up the turnaround for the 8-bar section. And one thing to notice here, this is just standard loading in a snare, duplicating it 8 times for a 16th roll. But what we're doing here is just fading in the transient instead of doing it like this. That can work. It's all about choice and sound design, but I wanted it to be a little softer. What I did to add on top of here was automate the upper frequencies, open it up a little bit. And if you notice this rising up as well, that's because I'm also automating this Q, the quantize knob here at the bottom, which just is like the pointing knob. I also have an auto pen, just bouncing it left and right. And then a convolution reverb that is not on this portion, but is on for this transition. So now just playing it all together, I want to turn a couple things on and off and just show you what kind of addition they're making. So if I take off the 2 top loops, so without the top loops, it still sounds okay. But you turn those bad boys back on, just fills it up without really taking away from the main elements of the drum groove. It just helps. So if we take out these 2 accents and off the snare, now this just kind of sounds like a basic groovy hi-hat top loop. But it's when you add these few accents back, you really get the movement going. Now, if your drums are busier, it gives you the ability to make your bass less busy. So for some people, this might feel like or seem like a busy bass, but it really is just the same beat over and over until the 4th bar. And what we're doing just to keep it a little creative is just opening up the macro knob, the filter on certain portions. So when you have those 2 things riding together with the drums, now you just need leads and a vocal and you're kind of good to go. Thanks for watching. I hope you're better at drums now, even just a little bit. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Bye.